Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. So one thing that boggles the mind for me is how people can mindlessly eat or have other bad habits. And I have a solution to that. You really only need one philosophy, and instantly you will start to eat better if you believe this one philosophy about your food. And the one philosophy is you got to think of your food as an extension of your medicine. If you can think that way, a lot of things will change for the better without you even thinking about it. Now, why? Think about what happens if food becomes your medicine. A lot of things become unimaginable anymore, right? So, for example, would you take medicine without knowing what the ingredients are? Would you? Or would you very casually write off an addiction to medicine? Let's say you got addicted to Ritalin, right? It happens, right? Or painkillers, right? Most people would know that or at least most people should know that they had a serious problem, right? But in our society, addiction to food is just casually written off, right? And so also, it's you're lonely on a Saturday afternoon. Do you get the desire to go out and just binge on prescription drugs, right? Do you go to your doctor and tell them that you have all these conditions to get like a whole bucket of prescription drugs just because one or two of them might taste good? Would you do that, or would you actually address your loneliness on a Saturday, right? Unfortunately, with food, that doesn't come into play, right? Now, if all of society started to believe that food was medicine, a lot of other systemic changes would happen, right? So I often talk about how people make fun of me for the way I eat. At the workplace, I refuse various foods and they cast me out on that. Would you ever think about doing that with other medicines? Would you laugh at somebody for their choice of prescription drugs? Or you get the idea, right? At other workplaces that I've been at, fortunately not anymore, but I've had times where there wasn't enough time to properly eat. You had to stuff your face, right? It caused all sorts of eating addiction problems. Now imagine if your job gave you heck for needing to. I'm trying to think what kind of medicine might take time to properly administer, right? Maybe insulin, or I had a colleague who was hemophiliac. He had to mix some clotting factor and inject it, stuff like that, right? Imagine if your workplace gave you heck and you had to do it in like 30 seconds, right? And you always made a mistake doing it, right? Um, would that be socially okay, right? Or let's see another example. Some workplaces don't allow you to eat at your desk, right? Or even if I had it my way, here's what I would do. I would think that it should be, unless there's a genuine safety concern, it should be illegal to control where somebody eats, right? Unless obviously, if you want them not to make a mess, sure, right? After all, well, if you took medicine at your desk in such a way that it made a mess, I'm sure the workplace would have a problem with that, right? But taking it is not the problem, right? So, in my opinion, having a workplace not allow food at your desk for reasons beyond safety, right? Obviously, if you're working with radioactive material, that's another story, right? But if there's no safety reason to enforce no food at the desk, I think that should be illegal. That would be akin to your workplace not allowing you to bring your medicine or not allowing you to take bathroom breaks or any other human need, right? Similarly, Similarly, sometimes I go to a venue that doesn't allow outside food, and I always have to argue with these people. And one time, I got a little bit too smart for myself. One time, I decided to tell the person at the gate, it was a theme park, this isn't my food, this is my medicine. And not surprisingly, he did not find that amusing, and I shouldn't have done that. But sometimes I like to be I like to be smart with these people sometimes. But I think not allowing outside food, again, unless there's a good safety reason, right? If you're obviously if you're making a mess out of your food, which is another problem, right? That would be another story. But not allowing outside food is again, it's akin to not allowing you to bring your medicine into the theme park. I can't imagine a theme park saying disallowing you to bring medications or a hearing aid or other sort of device that you need for good reason, right? Um, Now about the making the mess, because I mentioned it a few times. Now I've been in places where part of the reason they disallow various foods was because other people had allergies, right? So sometimes I'll take a flight and they'll make an announcement, don't open or eat whatever, right? I usually don't demand, even though I have allergies myself, I would never dream of demanding that. What I might demand is that people don't make a mess when they eat, right? I had a funny story about a roommate. He was eating a bag of chips, and these chips I don't react badly to. So it gave me a window to look into this because usually if somebody eats something that I might react to, I'll walk away from it. He was eating the chips, and he had the good decency to use his other hand to catch the crumbs that might fall, right? Which is great. As somebody who has allergies, I would love to see that. But unfortunately, he finished the chips, and then he dusted his hands everywhere. I almost wanted to ask him, why even bother cupping your hand under your chin if you're going to do that at the end, right? Maybe I'll leave this as an open letter question for you guys to answer. Why would somebody do that if you're one of the people who does it? I so badly wanted to ask him after he was done. But then I remembered that this isn't something that I'm reacting badly to. I don't want to cause drama with my roommate. And again, you would never dream of doing that. If this were, imagine he were taking fentanyl, right? He had a good reason to take it. Let's say he just had surgery. He had a good reason to take it. I don't know if fentanyl is something you take by mouth, right? I think most people would have the good decency not to spread it all over the house, right? But people forget that everybody has different food needs, right? See, a lot of attitudes would instantly shift if people recognize that their food was their medicine, right? All of these things you don't most people at least don't binge eat their medicine, right? Unfortunately, it does happen from time to time. Most people want to know what they're taking before they take it. Most people don't take their medicine for entertainment purposes, right? Most people don't peer pressure other people to take the same medication that they take, right? Most people recognize that people have different medical needs, right? Most people would have the good decency not to disallow it at their workplaces, at the venues, right? No matter what kind of a business you're in, right? And attitudes would completely shift. Now, obviously, both the food and the medical industrial complex will lose a lot of money if people recognize that food was medicine, right? If people recognize it, see that the medical industrial complex would love you to believe that whether or not you get cancer or heart disease is a complete matter of luck, right? You can't control it by what you eat, right? The food industry would love you to believe that, oh, eat whatever you want and then take drugs and surgery when things go wrong, right? All right, I thought I would throw this out there. I hope I've completely shifted your thoughts on this. This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.